Thank you very much, Speaker, and I rise also to speak against the motion from the Leader of the House and also the amendments that she has put forward as well. Speaker, one of the things that you take on as a value of life is treating other people as you would have them treat you. And when dealing with this motion and dealing with the contribution from the Leader of the House about wanting to have support for her changes, I cast my mind back to the 2010 to 2014 government when the Leader of the House was the Leader of Opposition Business. And I think, how would she have handled this? And she would have railed against this. She would have given passionate speech about how, when we were on the Treasury benches, we were shutting down the opposition from raising their issues here in this Parliament. So I think the Leader of the House, in saying that she wants support from us to support her ill-gotten motion, she wouldn't have done the same if she was in the same position. We are elected to come to this Parliament to represent the people that send us and to raise the issues that are important to them. An absolute tenet of the Westminster system of government is the Parliament, executive government, and Her Majesty's loyal opposition, who are here to raise the concerns and hold executive government to account. The Parliament is more important in the Westminster system than executive government. Correct. So the motion we have from the Leader of the House is about lessening the impact of the Parliament in the Westminster system. And I just think that is totally abhorrent to our system, that we should not, in an issue of crisis, in an issue of war, as the Treasurer said, this is like a war, it is important that the Parliament functions even more so than any other particular time. So to think that you would have a motion that is going to close down the rights of members of Parliament to raise issues on their constituents' behalf, to particularly for the opposition members of Parliament, to raise issues that are important to their constituency in this time at the moment, is just totally wrong. I think, and I understand that you are within the standing orders because there is no provision for lunch within the standing orders, but I think to actually hold off the lunch adjournment is wrong as well, Speaker, if I could be respectful about that. I believe that this debate should have gone on to 1 o'clock. We should have adjourned for lunch, and we should have come back and we should have gone through the normal standing orders, normal sessional orders, and we should have had a grievance debate. What is more important on a week when we've got the issues around coronavirus, when we've got all the issues around people's health and safety, when we've got the issues, we've got people who are absolutely stressed and beside themselves that their business is going to close the doors, that they will be out of a job, that the people that they employ will be out of a job. That is the time that we should actually have a grievance debate, and the members of Parliament should have the opportunity to raise those grievances on behalf of their constituency. So just to say that a Member of Parliament can email in. A Member of Parliament can email in. We know it takes months and months and months to get a formal response from a ministerial letter. How long is it going to take to get an issue answered as a member's statement or as an adjournment issue? How long is it actually going to take to actually get a response to those issues? And how will people, I have a constituent that raises something with me and wants me to do an adjournment issue about law and order and the lack of police numbers in my electorate, from argument's sake, Speaker. Do I tell them, oh, I've sent an email? They will laugh at me. They'll say, what in the hell are you doing? We asked you to go to Parliament. We asked you to raise this particular issue on our behalf. And as the member from Walsh said, he does a Facebook post with the actual visuals from the Parliament. I think one of the great changes that have come in here is the fact that we can actually use that feed to show people what we actually do in this House. It is important that we can be seen to be doing our job. It is not only do the job, it's important that we be seen to do our job. As an example, Speaker, last sitting week, if we had personally asked the Premier a question about the fact that the Timboon and Hayfield Lions clubs hadn't been paid for what they'd done to actually shift donated hay to the bushfire farmers to make sure their livestock didn't die. If we just sent an email to the Premier saying, can you do something about this, I think even you, Speaker, would be hard-pressed to think there would have been some action out of that. But by the fact that things are raised in this chamber, by the fact that there is video feed that can be used, by the fact that there is the news camera here quite often. That goes to everyone across Victoria, and the fact that the Premier would look very, very silly if he didn't do something about that meant that hopefully, and they still haven't been paid, but hopefully the Lions clubs of Timboon and Hayfield will actually get paid for cutting that donated hay. But if that had just been an email, I'm sure it probably wouldn't have even got a response, let alone an action out of those particular issues. As the Leader of the Opposition said, this is a part-time parliament anyhow. We are sitting less days than we've ever sat before. With the changes to sessional orders about being family friendly, and I do support those changes, we are not doing as much as we used to do when I first came to this parliament. We are not putting the hours in. We're not having the opportunity to scrutinise legislation that we used to. I don't believe, and I could be standard corrected, but I don't believe we've actually had an opportunity to go into committee on hardly any bills in the life of this parliament, let alone the life of the previous parliament. When it comes to the adjournment, one of the tenets of when we're in government between 2010 and 2014, we actually had a row of ministers on the bench. We had a row of ministers on the bench at 10 o'clock when this parliament went on the adjournment. And if you were unfortunate enough to be following Peter Ryan, who usually took about 20 minutes in answering the adjournments that he got, you might get 5 or 10 minutes to answer an adjournment. But most nights, excuse me, hang on.
Thank you for endorsing my motion. I don't think so.
Most nights on the adjournment, Speaker, the answers went for at least 15 or 20 minutes, if not the full half hour. What we have now, the best result we can get is actually having a minister that will stand up and at least identify the minister and the issue that was raised and who it was raised for. Some of the ministers just stand up and say, well, we'll just pass those on to the ministers. And as you're seeing by the number of points of order after question time about the questions on notice not being answered, there is little response from the government around these particular issues. The business program this week, North East Link, a piece of legislation that won't be used for 5 or 6 years.
6 years. 6 years.
Why would you have the business program taken up with that piece of information? Or that piece of legislation, Speaker. Why not actually dedicate that time to allowing us as opposition members to have member statements to have adjournment issues?
Have grievances.
We could actually have a grievance debate in the coronavirus pandemic that we have, the stress that is out there in the communities. I think the grievance debate is an absolutely essential part of Parliament for this sitting week. The last issue I wanted to close on, Speaker, is the fact that I think all the members of our side of the Parliament that I've been talking to today are all getting inundated with calls. Our officers are getting inundated with calls because they are extremely worried that the way people are reacting in supermarkets, they will not be able to buy the basic food and the basic essentials they need for life into the future. We need the opportunity to debate that issue at Parliament this afternoon in the grievance debate. It is so important. Night before last, in the Echuca supermarket, there was a fight over a bag of pasta. Bag of pasta got burst and spread all over the floor. Security guards had to be called because people were fighting over a bag of pasta. When we've got issues like that happening in our community, we need to make sure we have the opportunity to debate and raise those in Parliament. And I'll just finish, Speaker. One of the motel operators in Echuca came into my office today, absolutely stressed that he has had nearly all his bookings cancelled going forward. They are the sort of issues that we should be debating in this Parliament. He's saying the federal government's initiative goes some of the way, but he actually needs more business support than that. Otherwise, he is going to close his doors. He will actually shut that motel because he just won't be able to survive through what's going on at the moment. These are the issues that are important to the people that send us to this Parliament. These are the issues that we should be debating. We should not be voting on the Leader of the House's motion now. We should be going to lunch, and we should be coming back, and we should be coming back, and we should. The Leader of the House wants to trivialise this issue. the grievance debate is absolutely critical for this sitting week.
Leader of the House.
I move that the motion be put.
The question is that the question be now put. All of that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Division required. Bring the bells.